Do you have a chatty class? Do your students start group work or centers at a normal voice level, and then all of a sudden it just gets louder and louder and louder? Well, my friend, you are not alone, because my class is the same way this year. So stick around to hear some of the things that work to help quiet our noisy classrooms. If you're new here, I'm Rachel Vincent, and I share tips on running an effective and efficient classroom so that you can get more things done and still have time to teach. So one of the things that took a while for me to kind of come to grips with was that talking is okay. I actually enjoy a noisy classroom. I enjoy hearing kids laugh and talk about the things we're learning. But the thing that becomes difficult is when that voice level gets so high that you lose that ability to communicate with the students you're working with because the voices are so loud. Another thing that can be a problem is that students get off task and they don't get their work complete. And so that's when we need to make sure that, one, we are able to get the voice levels under control so we're actually able to talk with each other. Plus, we need to make sure that we're able to talk and get our work done at the same time. So one of the things I do is to have different voice levels so that students know what voice level they should be at a particular time. So we have levels 1 through 3. Nope. So we have levels 0 through 3. Zero people can hear our voices because there are no voices. Level 1 is a whisper, one person can hear you. Level 2 is more group work where 2 or 3 people can hear you. And level 3 are our presentation. We're talking, we want the whole class to hear us. And anything after that, I say, is just our outside voice level. So one of the things I do to make sure my students know when they should be using the appropriate voice level is definitely at the beginning of the year, we go over this, how to speak at those voice levels, but when is the appropriate time? Several weeks into the school year this year, I actually had to sort of break it down to our students and say, what voice level should we have when we're working independently, when we're in the mornings when we come in, and just break it down to each time of our day so they knew when they should be at what voice level. One of my classroom jobs is also our volume monitor, and so they move the arrow on our voice level chart to make sure we know what we're doing. They also are one of the people who say waterfall, waterfall when our voices are too loud. So it's getting loud, we're having trouble talking to each other, and then myself or the volume monitor can say waterfall, waterfall, and everyone responds with shh. I really love using this sort of call and response because the response that the students are giving is the word shh, and so they naturally get quiet when they say that word. Call and responses are a wonderful way to be able to get your students' attention, because oftentimes we'll allow them to work and talk, and then we need their attention back, whether we need to add more information to what they're doing, or we have to go to lunch and we need everyone to focus. Another one I use is I say super focus and the students go shoop. And I really like that one because it also allows them to use their hands, and so it directs their attention toward me, and it's a way for them to, I know that they are focused on me so I can give them additional information. There are tons in call and responses out there, and just a quick Google search will give you so many ideas. But another thing that you might want to try is asking your students what kind of call and responses would they like to use. Student lingo these days is ever changing with social media, and so having them come up with some sort of call and response would be a great way to encourage that voice and choice in your classroom. Call and responses can be used in more ways than to just get your students' attention. One of the things that I have struggled with this year was as I was giving directions for students to do, they would begin doing it before my directions were complete, which means they were missing the second part of my directions because they were already doing the first part. So one of the things I started to implement was a call and response of they couldn't move until we did the call and response. So I give my directions and then I say work hard, and they say do right, and they get busy. This has really helped students be able to focus on the full instructions that I'm giving instead of just starting before I have finished. If you use call and responses in your classroom, I would love to know in the comments below, what is your go-to call and response? Another way to quiet a noisy class is to use some sort of chime or bell. I have a little bank bell is what I call it. I don't really know the term for it, but just tapping that once lets students know that their voices are too loud and they need to bring it down. The ever popular doorbell is another great idea. I like to use this one more for transitions instead of quieting the class, but you could use it either way. So when they hear the chime, they know that their voice levels need to turn off or come down. Or I like to use it as sort of like our cleanup signal of we're getting ready to end what we're working on and move on to the next thing. Another way to help your students when their voice levels are too loud is to use a website called bouncyballs.org. So bouncyballs.org is a free website that you can use just by going and clicking the begin bouncing button. And what it does is it has these balls that once you turn your microphone on, as students are talking, they bounce. And when it bounces too loud, then you can let it have a signal. So there are different themes to use. You can have the plastic, like bouncy balls. There are emojis you can use. There are eyeballs that were great for Halloween time or really any time. And then there's the bubbles, which are actually on the top because they're bubbles. And so all you have to do is turn on the microphone. And once you have the microphone on, you can see as I'm talking, the bubbles are moving. And it has a sensitivity, which I really like, because when you have a classroom full of kids, they're going to make some sort of noise. So oftentimes when they're working in groups, I'll put the sensitivity down, but when I need them to be independently working, I'll pull it up a little. And so when you get too loud, actually I need to turn on, you have a noise alert that you can turn on. And so if it gets too loud, the sound will go off to remind the students to be at level 0. There's a beep, and the beep really isn't annoying like I thought it would be. It just makes a quick little beep to have them be quiet. Or of course you could have no sound or just turn the noise alert off. And so it's a great thing to use. I don't use it year round. I do like to use it during days when maybe closer to holidays, closer to breaks, things when I just need one little extra thing to help them keep their voice level. I will say the first time you use it, sometimes you have students who want to try and make it go off, but eventually the novelty will wear off and they will get used to using it to help control their voice levels. Talking is a natural part of learning, but we all know with 20+ students that all the talking can get a little chaotic. So having ways to quiet your classroom is a must. Click on the video that's on your screen now to learn more about how I set up classroom management.